a couple of like Mac Daddy ladies coming on the show this month, especially today. But and you're on the show every week, Megan. I mean,
Like, what? Huh?
it is called Kill the Bottle Podcast, and so what we're drinking is we're actually drinking some premium Napa wines from WTSO, our sponsor of the show, and WTSO today, March 16th. They're hosting their premium Napa wine event. So they're going to be paying homage to the region of Napa Valley by they curated this special collection of Cabernet Sauvignon on their premium selections page. So go to WTSO.com, check out their premium selections page, and you're going to see some familiar faces on there. You're going to see Sterling Vineyards, which we're drinking here as well, Camus, Robert Mondavi, Chateau Montelena, Catherine Hall, and so many more. It's March 16th, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern time, all the way till midnight. They're expecting these wines to sell out because, for example, the Sterling Vineyards that we're drinking now, it's an over $100 bottle of wine. They're going to have it for $60 on their site March 16th. And Geodesi, our other wine that we're drinking, retails for $175. And WTSO is going to have it for under $63 on their site. And if you use the code Kill the Bottle, that's right, Kill the Bottle, you're going to get $10 off on your first purchase of over $50.
Wow.
So it is a win-win situation.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. How do you like the wine, Megan?
I really like this one.
Yeah. Right now we're drinking a Geodesi Sage Ridge Vineyard 2018. And like I said, it's $175 a bottle. And what's cool about this wine is it's a women-owned winery, female winemaker. Yes.
For National Women's Month?
For National Women's Month, absolutely. Our lovely lady winemakers are making this. And to tell a little bit about the story, because actually, I don't know, the story is really great about this wine. It was founded by a lady named Judy Jordan, who she grew a winery called J Vineyards for about 30 years. She fulfilled her long-held dream, and now she dedicates her time to advancing the next generation of the agricultural community. She created something called WG Edge, which stands for Women Gaining an Edge, a local leadership development program for young women aimed at strengthening agricultural workforce. And she started this winery, Geodesi Wines, to fund the program. So all of the proceeds from Geodesi Wines go to funding this program. Yeah, it's kind of awesome. So I love the wine.
Does she make money?
I mean, I'm sure she made a lot of money on that J Vineyards. I think she went to Stanford. I think she did okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just want to make sure she's
sorted out. She's taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that like a week after this episode airs, you and I will be up in Northern California in wine country.
I know.
What?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
We're gonna be drinking wine.
Yes.
And flying in a plane.
We won't be flying the plane, but we will be flying in a plane. Yes.
No, I thought we were gonna drink wine and then fly the plane. That's what you promised me.
That's just
Eddie, I'm not going then. You told me
more wine
you
for me.
You said wine, then wine. Fly the plane. I'm sure of it.
More wine for me, Megan. So yeah, that is the deal that we are dealing with in our wine world.
And I'm very excited. Tuned.
Stay tuned. What else is going on in your life, Megan? Because I'm really excited about our guest. So I'm slightly fanboying.
Fuck my life.
Oh, speaking of,
let's move on.
Let's move on. Forget Megan's life. We're admitting our guest in. I'm gonna stop.
Okay. There we go.
Hello. Wait a second. Do I hear you?
Hold on a second. I can't see either. Okay. I wonder why I can't hear you.
Is it us?
Is it us? I don't know.
Let
me see. No, we're not muted.
You're gonna have to text her because she can't hear us.
Let me see. Maybe.
Can you hear me? Huh.
Let me see.
Oh, hang on. Let me do one thing. How do I get out of the full screen? Exit full screen. I think my sound on my computer went to mute. Hang on. It does that like automatically. No, it's not though.
Shoot.
Let's see.
Okay, I'm gonna have to call John to help me. Hang on 1 second.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't think my computer's muted. It says, well, let me see. Where would that be?
It maybe.
I see mute, but that would be muting me. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. Okay. Hey, can you come over here? I can't hear these guys.
Oh, I'll be right over.
Okay, thanks.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, you're looking good though, both of you.
Look at this. Look at that.
Yeah, and I poured the wine too. I haven't tried it yet.
Really good.
It smells amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you doing first? Hang on. Oh, Jesus. Okay, good. That's one I have both of them poured, but I'll try that one. Hey, they can hear me, but I can't hear them for some reason.
Take a look.
And I looked at my sound preferences, and it's not muted.
Okay. That should work.
Eddie's saying hi.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey, John.
I know I can't hear you, but
They can hear me.
I know I can't hear you. I know you're just going, I love that fucking guy. Man. Okay, what's plugged into?
Oh, wait. I know
Yeah.
what it is. I'm supposed to be wearing this little earpiece.
That will help.
Okay, hang on.
Now, all of a sudden, she hears
Now
us.
I can hear you. Oh, it's amazing. Thanks, John. I would never have figured that out. I never would have figured that out. I would have been like, well, I guess we got to reschedule this.
And we were saying how amazing this fucking guy John is. He just totally missed it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He is amazing.
He is.
How
All
are
right,
you?
hold on. I'm so good. I'm better now. You're cracking me up. All right, let me mute my phone before the rando text message comes in at the worst time and makes a shit ton of noise. This is Megan.
Hi,
This is Megan, my co-host.
This is an honor. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice
so
to meet
excited.
you too.
Yeah. Megan, do you have your wine?
Yeah, Eddie, I have my wine.
Yeah, are you sure?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Dad.
And I know I have a crap background, but I wanted to do it in my kitchen, but I have my kids are coming over for dinner. And it's going to turn into chaos.
Pour them some good shit. All right. Then let's get started. I was actually just talking about, we started a little bit ahead just to get some of our bullshit out of the way.
Yeah.
And then I'm ready to intro you if that's okay. Or do you, okay. And now I'm going to go back and I'll tell a little story about the wine because I think it's interesting and I think she'll like it.
Yeah.
But okay.
What?
You did it already.
I did it already. I know. All right, fine. I won't tell the story.
I have to edit it out.
Fine.
Unless you want it twice, so I can make you look really stupid.
You do that already. It is Women's History Month, so I'll let you get away with it. All right.
You can tell the story.
I will tell the story. That's
we
fine.
get a whole month.
I know. No, and today's the Women's History Day.
Yeah.
Even better. All right, hold on. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna start recording, and then we already did our little intro beforehand.
Okay.
And so I'll just intro you. Let me get my. You have the longest list of stuff to introduce, by the way. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna put it out there. Okay. All right. Let me start recording. And wait, do you have to press on the thing? No. Okay. And it is recording now. Okay.
Thanks, Eddie.
Listen, Megs.
Professional.
So
keep it professional.
Listen. All right. You hush when you're talking to me.
I'm just gonna drink.
Right. So yeah, just please continue your wine beverage indulgence.
Thank you.
So I am super excited to welcome our guest to the show. First of all, I know she loves wine. First of all, she loves Napa wine, according to her, which she told me. So thankfully, that's what we ended up drinking today. She is a musician, songwriter, record producer, singer. She's recorded 14 studio albums, 2 cookbooks, she's got CMAs, AMAs, and I love looking at her face as I throw all these accolades out there. But and also, I don't know how the hell she found time to be here with all the busyness that she has in her life. But we want to thank for being on Kill the Bottle podcast, country music star Martina McBride.
Hey.
Howdy.
Wow.
How are you?
Howdy from Nashville.
No, Martina. How first of all, she was telling us that she didn't like her background, but I love your background.
It's easy.
Okay, it's
Perfect.
easy.
Very plain.
It's
Yeah.
clean.
Okay.
It's clean. You know, you have a dinner party tonight.
Good.
That that amount of mess
least we're not
and
in my
bottles of
place.
wine is not what you want in your background.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
Exactly.
Martina, so I already said the story about the wine, and I know you're just joining us, but the Geodesi is what we're drinking now, and
Mhm.
it is, you know, Women's History Month. It is all women. It's a woman winemaker, female winery owner, and the proceeds from this winery go towards a agricultural program for women. All the
that's
proceeds.
fantastic.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, damn, this is worth $175. I'm like, that's a lot of money. Oh, but it's going to
Yeah.
charity. I'm like, oh, I can think of that. All right, I'll let you sip to see what
okay.
you think. I've already
Well, it's-
maybe had a glass.
Okay. Oh my God. It's so good.
It's good stuff,
It's really
right?
It's
good.
so good. Yeah.
No, I know. I took a sip of it
Delicious.
earlier. I'm like, Martina's so gonna like this.
Yeah.
And,
I love it. I could just smell it. That's all I need to do.
the fumes. Just
Yeah,
take it in.
just take it in. What would you pair with this? And I know you're not a sommelier, but you know,
Right.
if you were
I am
throwing
definitely
down with your amazing husband who helped us earlier, John, what would you throw down with this for him?
You know, I would start with a nice antipasti, I would do a
Yes.
nice smoked Gouda,
Oh my
maybe
God.
a really creamy, cheese and some crackers and some salami and, just, I think this wine is it could really use some fat, It's
Yeah.
like it could stand up to that. So like meat and cheese, or I mean, it would be fabulous with a steak, of course.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like a nice
yes.
fatty ribeye.
Yeah, ribeye.
Yeah, that would kick. You know, it's funny. One thing I love about Martina and her social, folks at home, please follow her at Martina McBride on social media, is that I always like to see people that show different facets of their life.
Mhm.
You are known, of course, as a musician and a singer, and so much of your social media is you cooking and you sharing things about your children and cooking with them. And I don't know, there's something so that is one of the things I love about social media. I can list so many things that I don't like, but
yeah,
it seems like those little moments of
Joy.
of joy like that are the precious moments of social media. What was it, if there was something, a catalyst for you that you decided to share, like your cooking prowess, I guess?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a passion. I love to cook, as you know, and it's like therapy for me. I mean, it's honestly, in a weird way, I'm as passionate about that. It brings me as much joy as singing. So I'm really lucky that I've been able to, as you said, write 2 cookbooks and get to do some fun things with cooking because I love to share it. And for me, social media, like the social media accounts that I love they're not just, press pictures and announcements. And they really do. I think the greatest thing about it is it lets people see into your life, aside from, away from the stage or whatever. So, I mean, I grew up without it. So I have to say, for me at first, it was a little weird. I was like, why? I don't know. 'Cause I'm kind of a private person, but I love it now. I love it. And I love sharing stuff about, like I said, my real life, not my fake life. No, my real life.
Yeah.
But like also just, I feel like it's such a way to connect, with whoever wants to, is interested in that. It's just cool.
Yeah, I mean, and also, I don't know, at least from my perspective, because I'm also like you, though we are on social media, I'm a pretty private person, and I like to control somewhat
Mhm.
what goes out in that space. And it is kind of nice to be like, all right, I'm going to show you 70% of of this,
Yeah.
and I get to keep that little extra 30% for me and for my family. But I think for your fans, and as somebody who after getting to spend some time with you and getting to know you has become a fan, it's really enriching to just see that somebody who is as successful is somewhat able to retain and keep this like beautiful family aspect to their lives. I grew up in a really tight family, and the more I see your social media, the more I understand how that it almost feels like that that cooking, that spending time at home really kind of connects you with that, because you spend so much time on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And I'm kind of a homebody, really. I found that through the whole, isolating at home thing. First of all, it wasn't really that hard for me. I'm kind of like, I kind of enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie.
Her face was great there.
Yeah.
For people who can't see what she was like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Martina.
Yeah.
But I did realize, now that we're, thankfully coming out of it, I was talking with my daughter, and I'm like, I don't really want to go anywhere. Like, I'm not excited about going to a new restaurant or going to a movie. And I think it's kind of like a muscle that if you don't exercise it, you can get very, introverted. I can anyway.
Yeah.
So,
how did it feel your first time back on stage? After, not after, because obviously there were still aspects of the pandemic where you went on stage, but when you were finally able to get back out there.
It was awesome because we were off. We didn't do a show for about 18, 19 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay. So the whole gamut of emotion was happening because I was also a little bit nervous and thinking, is this a good idea? All of that was running through my head because it still was just uncertain. This was we went back on the road in July.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but we were really careful. Like, I really just went from the bus to the stage, back to the bus. We didn't have any meet and greets. Unfortunately, I didn't really even go into catering and eat with the band and crew. We all kind of isolated, even on the road. But getting on stage with my band and my crew, some of them have been with me over 25 years, and we've traveled the world making music. And then, you look out in the audience and you see this crowd that's just so excited to be there, and they've made the commitment to come out and kind of re-enter the world as well. And I don't know, it was magical. I think that playing live for me, because I've done it for 30, I've had, been on the road for 30 years, that I feel like sometimes I might take it for granted a little bit.
I think this whole thing kind of made us look at like just simple things too, like just walking into a bar and sitting at a bar.
Yeah.
Like when that's taken away from you, all of a sudden, like you're like, I'll never take that for granted again. You've been doing this forever. And I have such a huge respect for you. Your voice is absolutely incredible. How have you maintained? I mean, if I talk to Eddie for an hour, my voice is like done. How have you maintained this long of
Megan,
a career?
That's called cigarettes and booze.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
My bad. Now I know. How have you maintained this long career with such a powerful, large voice?
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's I really don't talk about this very often, but it's tricky because for not for everyone, but the voice is such a physical thing. It's not like a guitar, you can play it and put it away, and when you get it out, it's probably going to sound the same pretty much every time. But it's because it's so physical and it's so connected to emotion, and it's a muscle. So like, much like an athlete, the older you get, it changes. I find now that I used to never warm up. I used to never give a thought about singing. It came like breathing to me. It was so natural.
Yeah.
And as I get older, there's hormones and there's all kinds of stuff that come into play, So I have to sing every day. I have to vocalize every day, where I used to go weeks without worrying. I'm not really a sing along around the house kind of gal.
Yeah.
So,
what?
Yeah.
I thought you would have
that was
it.
me this morning.
He was singing
to
you.
your music while cooking breakfast.
Awesome.
I was singing about women and whiskey. I was
Yep.
singing. Yep. And yeah, it was an interesting moment when my wife walked in the room and she's like, "Women in whiskey, what do you say?" But whatever. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you're doing a lot of it amazes me that you've kept such a powerful voice. And your range hasn't changed, correct? Or have you noticed like your voice going down at all in range, or just keeping it the same?
No, actually the high stuff is the easiest stuff for me.
Really? Okay.
It's kind of like that is kind of like muscle memory that
Yeah.
kicks in.
Wow. Yeah.
But some of the lower things, I mean, I don't know. For me, and like I said, I sang through a bout of bronchitis once. It lasted
Wow.
about 6 weeks, and I went out and toured. And
Oh my God.
the voice is so. I don't want to get into this because it's so technical, but it's just such a susceptible thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Get into a little bit of, if you overcompensate with certain muscles to try to get through, you can get in some really bad habits. So I've
Yeah.
been really working the past few years to get sort of keep that all on track, you know?
Well, I mean, my vocal training as a kid helped me in theater, because I went and I was in music since I was 10 years old or whatever. It helped me project, and it helps me for things like this show.
Sure.
And I can only imagine, you feeling and just working from your diaphragm and understanding that it is, it's not just a guitar, like you said, that you can put away and bring back, because you're, the physicality of the voice. They talk about nodules, and they'll talk about like, Elton John had surgery on his vocal cords. And imagine if you had a guitar and all of a sudden you added pieces of wood to the inside of the guitar, which are these nodules, it's not going to sound the same.
Yeah.
So it is kind of amazing. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I freak out at some of the freaks of nature vocally, like Sting, Mark Anthony. Like Mark Anthony smokes like a chimney, and I see him live, and I'm like, dude, how is this like 100-pound Puerto Rican still singing like this?
The lead singer of Fun,
Yeah.
Nate. He's a chain smoker, and he can hit notes that I'm like, what? That's crazy.
That's what maybe I just need to start smoking.
I know. I'm not built that way,
That's
Martina.
not what we were saying. Okay.
That is not. No.
That's not what we were promoting. We did not. We don't want to be the podcast that caused Martina McBride to smoke.
I feel like it's all their fault.
That's where it started.
So Mari, you said you hit the road in July, and it was this overwhelming feeling of emotions. And like you and I, we're both kind of homebodies. And I start to think of who can get me out of the house, right? And I think of U2, I think of the Foo Fighters. I think there's certain artists that can get me out of the house. They can just like, regardless of I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wear like a protective bodysuit, a hazmat suit, and I'm gonna jump and scream at Dave Grohl. That's just what I'm gonna do. Who is that for you? That will get you out of the house, figuratively.
Yeah. Brandy Carlisle, huge fan. Love her.
Right. We talked about that. Yeah.
I go see her live and I cry basically the whole show. She has something about her as a person. I mean, I think she's an amazing person. I've actually gotten to get to know her a little bit, luckily, but just there's something about the timbre of her voice and the passion with which she sings and the songs and the lyrics and her energy that is contagious. And it moves me so much. So yeah, she'd be like, I would definitely go anytime she's close. I would travel to see her.
It's funny, like the power of a song. And it reminds me of this video that I watched, and I watched it this morning, and it brought me to tears. I watched this little girl, and I don't know if you've seen this video, but she's singing I'm Gonna Love You Through It to her mother with cancer.
Yes, I have seen that.
Oh my God, Martina. And first of all, that's my favorite song of yours. I had a mother who passed away from cancer in 2006, and I seeing this little girl, sing that. And obviously this little girl is not a singer. She's practically a toddler singing, a little bit older than that, but it shows the power of a song.
Yes.
And sometimes it doesn't even matter if it's you singing it. If the perfect song is there, the power is not lost. Is there a song that you can think of? Doesn't have to be something that you've written per se, that you consider the perfect song to you?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, I've always thought one of the most beautiful songs of all time is Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh yeah.
Because that melody is so gorgeous, and you know, it's whimsical, but it's about hope. It's about faith. It's about, you know, all of that aspiration. So, I mean, I've always loved that song. I love Moon River. I think for me, sometimes it's a melody too,
Mhm.
or even more than a lyric.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
perfect thing is when when the melody and the lyric match and there's magic that happens, right? But I'm a sucker for a great melody, like a classic, like Moon River. To me, that is such a beautiful melody, you know?
And those songs are just, they're timeless.
They are.
It's, you know, and I don't know about you, but I'll go into like the YouTube black hole of, let's say, Moon River, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna find everybody who's covered this song.
Yeah.
And I'll spend 2 hours on YouTube, and I'm like, really? Otis Redding? You know, whoever.
Yeah,
I'll just be
right.
like, who did this?
You know what's
ooh,
funny is we have a game that we play sometimes with people that come over for dinner. It's like, what song always makes you cry,
Oof.
right? For
Mhm.
me, it's Vincent by Don McLean. Do you guys know that song?
I don't know that.
I do not. That's
song.
I mean, I know American Pie by Don McLean,
Oh,
which
no,
is
we got an
obviously
eye roll. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Go find
No.
Vincent. And
I'm
it's
going
like,
to. I'm
for
writing it
me,
down.
I don't know what. Every time I hear it, and every time I go, okay, well, this is going to be the time that I don't cry. Like I'm almost through it. Like, and then shit, like every single
Always.
time,
Yeah.
there's something that happens, a line or this is the way he delivers it, and it just kills me every time.
Oh,
Do you guys have one of
man.
those?
Oof. It really connect. There's two of them for me, and they connect to my childhood. One of them is, and I'm remembering this right now, is "If You Leave," the song from Pretty in
Oh,
Pink,
yeah,
the theme
yeah.
song.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, that song just reminds me of a time listening to the radio in the car with my mom and my dad, and I can still smell the humidity in Miami. And when that song was on the radio and Pretty in Pink was on TV, and then
Mhm.
every time, I mean, I've seen you two like 12 times. Whenever I hear the opening chords and arpeggios for Where the Streets Have No Name, I will bawl. I lose it. It's like it's a religious experience
Yeah.
for me. What about you,
Yeah.
Megs?
I don't cry. No, I'm just
Yeah, right. Yeah,
She
yeah.
doesn't
I
cry.
don't
You only
cry.
cry on the phone when you call me.
Yeah,
Right.
but I've been drinking. No, I don't think so. I think I always cry during Les Mis when Ebony dies.
Oh, I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, I can't help like that. I just thought of that. Like that's the only time I really bawl. But like
Well,
I like
what-
simple. Go ahead.
What's that famous song from Les Mis? Like the one that kills me too.
Is the one where she dies in his arms, or the one at the beginning where
Where everybody dies in that show.
I know.
Let's find out who dying.
the one? Don't you fret, Miss Your Marius. I don't
Hold
feel
on, I'm gonna
any
look this up now
pain.
because it's gonna drive me
wow,
crazy.
you sing
That one.
great.
Oh,
That's
thanks.
awesome. Yeah.
Smoking. I'm telling you, you got it.
It does it.
Thank you. Or it's the I dreamed a dream. I dreamed
That's
a dream.
it. That's
That's
it.
the one. That everyone cries in that one,
Love that.
especially when Anne Hathaway did it. But then I like simple songs.
Yeah.
I think that Blackbird by the Beatles is like one of the most
Yes.
simple but
Oh.
beautiful
Yes.
songs. So it's my favorite. And then Don't Think Twice by Bob Dylan is such an FU song.
Yep.
And it's so simple and so nice. Like I love those
Oh.
two songs. Those are my two
You just
favorite
remind
songs.
Willie Nelson. You were always on my mind. Every
Oh, yeah.
time I hear him sing that fucking song, it just like it and I want to say they have a one of those like donate to animals videos, and it's that song, Willie
Yeah.
Nelson. It's like him and Sarah McLachlan have
Yeah,
owned
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
market.
Oh yeah.
And Willie, and I'm seeing these dogs sad, and I'm like, geez, Willie, come on. Like, you know, I know you smoke a lot of pot. I understand it now, because like I wouldn't be
Wow.
able to sing that
So
song
sad.
with a straight face, Willie. That one
I
kills
wrote
me.
down Vincent, so I will get on it.
Oh, no,
I
I'm on it.
promise. Oh,
I'm on it.
Beautiful.
I'm on it.
It's poetry, you know. It's really a beautiful. It's about Vincent van Gogh. Just so you
Okay.
know.
Oh,
Yeah. So you have a little
Megan,
context.
do not cut off your ear
Oh, what?
after listening to that song.
I wait. You don't know how much wine we're gonna have. After this long being in the music industry, what's like the biggest lesson you've learned from it?
There's a lot of lessons.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, you have to learn, you learn to persevere and to be determined, a good work ethic. You deal with rejection sometimes. You know, Garth Brooks gave me this advice when I first started out. He was like, make sure that this is before this all be in the moment stuff came out, but it's kind of that basically. He said, make sure that as this whole thing goes by, that you really stop to soak it in. because it goes like that, and it will never stay the same. It's always changing, whether it's on the way up, maintaining it, whatever. And that was really good advice for me. And that was, like I said, that was before that was kind of a thing. I'd never heard that before, really. And so it's so important to just, because you can get so, as you guys know, you can get so overwhelmed and so like pulled in all directions, and it's good to just like take a breath and really absorb the moment. And there's so many that I haven't, there's
Yeah.
I just saw a picture. I posted a picture on Instagram yesterday of some of my past ACM looks. And I found a picture on the internet of me meeting Matthew McConaughey, which I didn't remember. And I also I also won an American Music Award once. And I found that picture of me accepting the award, and Beyonce, hello, gave me my award. She's in the background. I'm like, that's fucking Beyonce right there.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't remember it. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
my God,
there's a lot that goes by. You have to make a decision to really soak it in.
It's funny you mentioned
story.
Beyonce, because I worked the red carpet for the American Music Awards when I first moved to LA. I get a random phone call and they're like, "Hey, we need somebody that's bilingual. Go here and we're gonna pay you like $500." And I was broke, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm there."
Yeah.
So I'm there at the red carpet with a videographer I've never met in my life. I just get mic'd and I'm just yelling at people, trying to get them to come talk to me. And I Beyonce walked by, and she's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't say anything. And I'd seen her on TV a million times, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then you see her, and I was like, holy, like, she's like the Terminator.
Was that the
She's like a
last time
super soldier.
They asked you to do a red carpet event when you just stood there like.
No, it was awesome, because I asked Paula Abdul, I was like, straight up now, tell me. And I asked her a question, and she it did not get the joke, and it made my entire day. Anyway, I mentioned cancer before, and I really want to acknowledge you for being part of Stand Up to Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I have a dear friend, and his sister, her name was Ava, and she was so excited because she was a huge fan of yours, like huge, and so excited she was also a fan of our podcast. So excited at the possibility that you were going to be on. And she recently lost her battle with cancer. And it was funny because when I'm going through, and I'm always so blown away by people who not only have success, of course, and work really hard towards it, but are generous and charitable. And being that cancer is so close to me, I was so moved today because I didn't know. I knew that you were involved as a national spokeswoman for domestic violence, and the National Network for Domestic Violence, but I didn't know regarding cancer. What is it for you that makes you choose a particular charity to work with? Because obviously, it's easy to spread yourself too thin.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do more by focusing on a couple of things. What was it for you that pointed you in those directions?
Well, for me, the domestic violence, the National Network to End Domestic Violence, and the national, the domestic violence hotline, all the stuff that I did, and Child Help USA as well, was the song Independence Day. So that song changed my life. Not only did it change my career, but it really changed my life. Like I grew up on a farm in a very small town of about 180 people. I had 10 people in my graduating class.
Oh my gosh.
I can always say I graduated in the top 10 of my class.
That's less than an NBA team, by the way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
So it was never talked about. I'm sure there was domestic violence, right? Statistically, there had to have been in that community.
Yeah, right.
But it was just not on my radar as a kid. So when I found independence, well, of course, then I grew up and moved away and had some, we all have our relationships and grow. But when I found that song, it kind of like, I was so passionate about it. And I started getting all these letters from people telling me their stories and what like we were talking about the power of a song and, you know, what that song meant to them and how it affected their lives. And that song was an action, like people, it really made people take action, whether it was leaving, like finally having the courage to leave. One woman wrote, said, I heard that song on the radio and I went home and packed up my things and my kids and left. And that's the power of a song. Like what you were saying, it doesn't really matter who sings it. It's like that song just needed to get out into the world. Right.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be the vessel that it came through, which was so amazing. But yeah, I was really moved and passionate to do something. I was like, this is bullshit. Like,
yeah,
you know, and was really super compassionate about what people are going through in those situations. So sometimes, you know, that was what really, and, you know, with I'm Gonna Love You Through It, that song is so real. It is literally a real story. The songwriter wrote it about her mother and her battle with cancer and obviously her parents' relationship. So like when you hear a song like that, I always say in my show, it's like, it's the kind of song that makes people feel like they're not going through whatever they're going through all alone. Like somebody else understands what they're going through. And that's just, I don't know. I just feel so privileged that those songs found me, really, you know.
And you know, talking about the power of the song, just thinking about it now, those songs can still be just as powerful if you can't hear them and you're just reading them.
Yeah. Of
you
course.
know,
Yeah.
the lyrics themselves are so impactful that the melodies and of course the voice elevates those lyrics. But man, the lyrics themselves just can, you know, if you're standing next to the stage and seeing the sign language person doing it, you're still connected. Well, you know, we've all been to that show and are always like kind of loving the sign language person to the side of the stage. And those lyrics are powerful like that. Sorry, I just had a moment where I was like, wait a second.
They do, but they have to also like have emotion with their sign, like what they're doing. So it is an interesting thing to watch. But you have your own charity company, right? Or your own foundation?
We do. It's called Team Music is Love.
Okay. What tell us more about that? What is Team Music is Love? What do they do?
It started out, okay, so it's very grassroots. It started out with a group of fans wanting to wear shirts that said Team Martina for a breast cancer walk. And I was like, sure, absolutely. So it went on as Team Martina for a few years, and then I was like, man, we got to get a better name. So we decided to call it Team Music is Love, and it's really fan driven. Like it's not something a charity that's focused on one thing. It's very wide reaching. So we kind of look for where the need is. We've done a lot of stuff with hunger relief. We've built a playground in an inner city. We started a music program in Guatemala for girls that are, that are rescued. And so just a lot of different things. And for a while, we haven't done it, obviously, in the past couple of years because we haven't been on the road, but we would go into the community in which we were playing shows and see what they needed. And we did a lot of stuff for hurricane relief and we had some tornado relief. We had a tornado here in Nashville. And so, that's what I love about it is it's not just like we do one big show a year and raise a bunch of money for this one cause. It's like really just feels really down to earth and kind of meeting the need where it is.
I love that.
People can go on my website, Team Music is Love. It actually has its own little tab, or you can go to teammusicislove.com and find out how you can help, how you can join. And like I said, it's volunteer driven. So
I'm doing it. I volunteer
all over.
I volunteer at the food bank, so it'd be nice to get to know a community of people.
In all fairness, you thought it was a real bank and you were going to take out money at the ATM.
I also thought there was going to be way more cute guys that were volunteering, and it's not the case. So. Hey, cute guys, get out there!
Get out there and volunteer. Cute single guys. Cute single guys. We don't need you trying to pick away from the crop that's already taken, Megan. All right, just cute single guys. You mentioned down to earth, and that's something that connected me so much to you, Martina, and your lovely husband, John. In talking to both of you for 5 minutes, I felt like I've known you for years, and that is just a quality of good human beings, and people with good backgrounds, and just all around good juju. And one thing that I loved was I recently watched a video of you singing Independence Day. You were talking with Pat Benatar, and the like it almost felt like you, I don't know, from your facial expression, you're like, she loves her some Pat Benatar. You just I love me some Pat Benatar. I saw her a couple right before the pandemic. I saw her in the summer, and it was I was like, how does she still sound like that?
No.
And still
Yeah. Yeah, a huge fan. Like when I was in high school, I heard Heartbreaker on the radio on Casey Kasem's Top 40.
Yes.
I'm old. And I was like,
Oh.
what is that? Like, what is that? This is a woman like just rocking out. And then I saw her picture and I was like, she's so cool looking. And I was just a huge fan. And so I would literally every day after school, I would put her albums on because I didn't like I don't know if we talked about it earlier, but I really didn't have like music teachers or like voice teachers. So I really learned how to sing by just singing along with records. And I put on my Pat Benatar records and I wanted to be her. I wanted to be Pat Benatar. And so I would just sing and sing and sing and try to hit those notes and and so when they came to me to do a Crossroads on CMT, which is what you're talking about, I was like, can we ask Pat Benatar? Never thinking in a million years that she would say yes, right? I was just like, I'm just going to go for it and ask her. And she said yes. And the coolest thing was, well, it's a couple things. First of all, she's super down to earth and really nice. And we have a lot in common. She loves to cook. She has daughters. She's just this really cool woman.
Oh my gosh, how cool.
And then I'm standing on stage and I'm thinking to myself, well, never in a million years would I have imagined. This is like outside your dream capability.
You can see it in your face when you watch the video. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, this never even entered my mind. This was mind blown, right? So I'm thinking to myself, not only am I standing here singing Pat Benatar songs with Pat Benatar, but she's singing my songs. Like, what? Like, I have songs. I have songs that are like that she can learn and sing, and she's singing my songs. And this little girl, this like 14-year-old girl from, in her bedroom in Kansas. This is what I felt like when I was on stage with her, thinking, how in the hell did this happen? Like, I don't know. It was a highlight for sure. It was
one of those Garth Brooks moments that
you're
told
gonna
you
be
to
that
take
highlight,
in, right?
Yeah,
Oh my
you're gonna be that
gosh.
highlight for somebody else. There's gonna be that person who's gonna be like, there's no way Martina's gonna come up here and sing this with me, and they're gonna have that same 14-year-old girl from wherever moment with you on stage.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And you get to, it's gotta, I don't know, it's gotta feel extremely enlightening. Is there, first of all, speaking of Pat Benatar, did you sing any Pat Benatar songs when you were lead singer of the Penetrators?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So first of all, when I saw the name of the band, I couldn't stop laughing. So she was it was a punk rock or rock band?
It was rock. It was like top 40 and rock. We did Pat Benatar, Missing Persons, Joan Jett.
Oh yeah.
Journey, Heart, all the 80s stuff.
That's all the. I mean,
and I was 17
I'm old.
years
I love
old.
all this stuff.
I was 17 years old, and I was very sheltered. Not that I was an angel. I was not. I grew up in like I said, a very small community where all there was to do was drive around and this is bad, but drink, right?
Well, I mean, it's
driving. I wasn't driving and drinking. I was right, But
we gotcha.
We got it.
Yeah.
Dirt roads, the whole
small
thing.
town.
So,
That's what you
like,
do.
Just driving around the dirt roads for hours.
It was a
and
different
hours.
time too. There wasn't.
Yeah, it was a different time, and there was no other cars. It was literally like a car on the dirt road. But I forgot what I was going to say. What we were talking about. But
go ahead.
No.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about the Pat Benatar.
Oh, the Penetrators.
Yeah,
Okay,
the Penetrators.
So I was sheltered. So when these guys were older, this band that I joined, I joined this band at 17, right out of high school. They were all like 25, 27. They knew exactly what they were doing. And I was like, sure, like Penetrators, that's a great name. I don't know.
That sounds
we'll
great.
penetrate you with our music. You know what I mean? I was like, it had a whole, I never had that connotation with it. So So yeah, so I get to live with that for the rest of my life.
Well, my snort came out hardcore when I read that. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to ask Martina what the set list for the Penetrators was. But you know what? If I was at a bar and you were playing the music that you just said was part of your set list, I would stick around the entire time, especially if you were the person singing. I mean, like,
it was fun.
That's a win-win. Is there, I've heard a couple of artists ask this question, and I'm always intrigued by the answer. But is there a song that you've heard, or it could be more than one song, but maybe just one that really sticks to you? That you're like, man, I wish I would have written this song. I wish this song came, because it is that to you. It is the I don't know. It's that, like, I'm always like, what is the perfect written song for somebody that they wish?
I mean, yesterday by the Beatles is pretty good.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, that might be one.
Which is funny. My dad's a diehard he's not a Beatles fan at all. He was like, I was in, my dad's a jazz musician. He was listening to Miles Davis and John Coltrane and that kind of stuff when the Beatles were popular. And he was like, why am I going to listen to these four guys playing pop music when I'm listening to Miles, right?
Uh-huh.
He still thinks Yesterday is like the greatest song ever written, which is my
father's
crosses
all genres. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, that is probably, I don't know if I was going to say the perfect song. I think that's like the perfect song. Megan's looking at me, but it is kind of the perfect song.
It is. Yay. This was fun.
What? Megan.
You're weird. You're so weird.
I'm not weird.
John just walked in. Hey, John, come here.
I just got a call. Give me 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's funny. Speaking of John, and you could tell me if I can't say the story or not, but I thought it was the funniest story ever. I know that that Garth Brooks had an impact on your life, and he definitely gave you an opportunity to open for him. But John told me the funniest story of when he thought that Garth Brooks was hitting on you from stage. And it is so funny because, like, first of all, if you I think it's hysterical because when you hang out with John for like 5 minutes, to think of him getting like macho and pissed off is the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And when he told me the Garth Brooks story, I was like, that's hysterical, John. That's amazing, because I would have never interpreted it that way.
Yeah. Nobody else. No, nobody did. Just John.
Just John. So let's just say Garth Brooks, there was a thing that he would do to the audience, and it was like an acknowledgement, let's say, and on a particular whatever it was, he did that acknowledgement, and I guess he was looking at you or pointing in your direction. Yeah. And John thought he was hitting on you, and John was going to kick his ass.
Yeah, totally.
Basically,
I'm like, dude.
It's the funniest thing in the world because right after hanging out with you, I got to see Garth for the first time. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, Martina, I was blown away. When you're talking about being present in a show, I can count on one hand the artists that I've seen in person, that are that present to the audience. And I saw him at the Grand Ole Opry, and it was just he was like wearing construction boots and a t-shirt. Yeah. And he was making fun of himself because he stained his shirt, and and Trisha told him you can't go on stage wearing that shit. So he just went out in jeans and a t-shirt. He went out in the opposite of Garth garb, know? Mm-hmm. And I get it now. And it was one of those things where I love moments in my life, and I'm 43 years old, and we get to an age in our life where we think we kind of know everything, or we think it's hard to surprise us. Mm-hmm. And it was a moment where I didn't know. Yeah. And I walked into that room and I saw, just the guitar sitting on the stage. And when he started performing, I got it. Yeah. I totally got it in an instant.
Yeah, he's alive. You have to see him live. Not that you have to see him live to get it, but that's really the thing. It's like that's his thing. It's like he just has that charisma and that thing that you see it live and you go, "Oh, I get why all of these people are going crazy." Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's some artists in any genre where I'm like, you really have to drink to go to this show. And no, he is not that show. I would tell you, don't drink. and go to the Garth show and like take it in, because I was sorry to like I'm thinking about it now because I forgot about it. I almost hit Megan in the face. And I remember, your husband telling me stories about Garth. When you started working with him, what was that moment of generosity where, or that moment where you're like, holy shit, I'm opening up for Garth Brooks? Like, what led to that? Did he hear you sing? Did you give him a demo? How did that work out?
Story. I still don't know that we all have this. We've all settled on the same story, because apparently John had told Garth that I was trying to get a record deal, that I was a singer. And I'm sure he was like, that's the last thing I want to hear. I mean, isn't everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he heard your voice.
But he would, and I should mention at the time, John was his production manager on the road. So he was touring with him.
Oh, he wasn't just a random fan.
No, he wasn't just a rando. And I was waiting tables and singing demos in Nashville, and we'd just been married like a year and a half. So I was like, I don't know anybody here. You're gone for weeks at a time. Can I get a job on the road with you? Like, so we can travel together. And he's like, I don't know. I'll ask about selling t-shirts. So I went and sold t-shirts for Garth for about 7 months.
Oh my gosh.
And we rode on different buses, John and I. I rode on the merch bus and he rode on the crew bus. It was fun. It was really fun. And to get to see Garth's show, I mean, I didn't get to see it every night because I was working, but just to be around that energy, because that was the height of it. That was when it really was peaking, Friends in Low Places and all that. So it was good. Now then he asked me, I did get a record deal, and he asked me to open his next tour. So I went from being t-shirt girl to opening act. And I think back, it was such a generous thing to do, because he'd never seen me perform. He barely heard me sing. He heard me sing something a cappella once. And so like, he had no idea that I could what I would be like on stage. I could have been terrible. And so that was a generous act in and of itself. And then when I got on stage to sold out arenas, like it was before the stadium tour, but he was selling out, 16, 17,000 seats a night. And here's a girl who is in her little like cowboy boots and her little short skirt, and she's got no songs on the radio, one barely, maybe. And she's singing songs like 25 minutes and nobody's ever heard of her. And the crowds were so generous. They were like so warm and welcoming to me that it was, I didn't expect that, because it's an opening act, you're kind of, but he said something to me too. He said, you're not my opening act. You go out there and try to steal the show, which was another great piece of advice that he and generously gave me,
Well,
So,
He wasn't accusing you of stealing a show. He was telling you need to, right? I just want to clarify.
No, it's like, you need to do it, because it's like was, and really for somebody to have that kind of confidence, like, I mean, obviously I was not going to steal the show from Garth Brooks, but to give me the permission to not feel like I had to be, less than, was really cool. And something that I obviously took forward with me with anybody that opened from, shows for me.
Where were you the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
First time I heard myself on the radio, John and I, we rented this little duplex in Donaldson, Tennessee, which is right by the airport. And somebody had told me my first single had just come out, Time Has Come. And somebody said, there's a show from Kentucky, I think it broadcast from Kentucky, called Newest from Nashville. And we heard your song on there last night. So you should listen. So we didn't even have a stereo. We had a boom box.
Yeah.
And so we put the boom box on the kitchen table and listened. And about 25 minutes into the show, they said, here's a new song from a new artist on RCA Records called Martina McBride. And they played The Time Has Come. And so that was the first time we heard it. And, there's nothing like it. Like, I still get jazzed if I hear myself on the radio. I'm kind of like in my car wanting to go to people like, that's me. It's so exciting.
Are your folks still alive?
My dad is. He's 84.
Okay. Did your mom get to see your success? Oh, so she got to see your success. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it's one of those where like I never got to cook for my mom, really. So it's we talk about not taking moments for granted. I've cooked for my dad a handful of times. I don't know if he remembers it, but I cooked for him a handful of times. All right, I'm gonna give you a hypothetical. and you're on the desert island.
Okay.
You know, but it's
With some good
you.
wine.
Oh hell yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I already poured some of the Sterling, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
For me,
I'm into that. I've moved on.
You
Wine
moved on.
number 2.
You moved on. What 5 albums are you taking with you?
Um,
Oh, I heard the slap. I heard the slap on
Yep.
the thigh. That's when you know
Okay.
it's like, uh-oh, it's on.
Ricky Lee Jones' first record. I love
Okay.
Ricky Lee Jones, and that record was pivotal to me. So by Peter Gabriel.
Oh, yeah.
Love that record. John, help me out. What are some of my top like 10 albums? You know, we've talked about them. Moondance by Van Morrison.
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah,
listen
that's
to
great.
that. John and I listen to Moondance by Van Morrison probably 3 times a week.
oh my gosh.
That's yeah.
Is that the
I've-
secret to a long marriage?
Oh yeah, the Eagles' greatest
Linda
hits
Ronstadt.
was the first record that I ever got.
Oh,
I
really?
wanted-
Oh, wow.
asked for it for Christmas and got it. And so the Eagles' greatest hits, and I was a huge only person that I was a bigger fan of than Pat Benatar was Linda Ronstadt. I was a huge
Oh, yeah.
Linda Ronstadt fan. So I would, you know, all of her albums, probably Simple Dreams is one of my favorite ones of hers. Yeah, so that's probably 5 I named
That's
off.
like a nice island vibe. I think,
Yeah,
you know, I
right?
would put up the hammock on I don't know if I'd put the SOS sign on that album
No,
on
just
that.
chill.
Yeah. Yeah,
As long
I'd
as
just
you have
chill.
the
I'd break some
wine.
coconuts. Yeah, right. Thank you.
And if you had one meal to go with those songs on that island, what's your ideal perfected meal that you love to cook, you love to eat, you love to listen
Okay,
to music
so
while you're cooking?
I love to cook. I love to make pot roast. And I do it. Everybody has their own pot roast thing, right? But mine's my mom's recipe. And for me, that's just like complete comfort food because that was her like signature dish, right? And she was a very Midwestern cook. I grew up eating very Midwestern food, casseroles and like no fresh veg, like everything from a can, like Del Monte and Libby's, you know, the canned vegetables.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Come say hi real quick. Come say hi real quick.
You're gonna have to tell me what they say.
Yeah, I know you can't hear.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
How are you?
Say hello.
I said hello to John, and I look forward to Jim sipping on some Jose Cuervo Especial with you in the future, sir. That's
We
all
will
I'm going to
do
say.
that, no question.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to do it right now.
You have to taste this wine too. It's amazing.
Oh, it looks amazing, and I can't imagine if she says it is. I believe it.
She has good taste. She has good taste in wine, in husbands, you know.
Well, wine for sure. Thank God she's legally blind, but you know, life is pretty good. I'm a lucky man.
Oh,
Well, great to
man.
see you guys. I'm gonna go stick a casserole in the oven.
Oh,
Sounds about right.
so
for
good to see
Martina
you,
and
John.
Possibly meet our 16-year-old's new boyfriend who I've never met before.
Oh, well, just do me a favor.
Yeah, he's
Pull
fine.
up, so this is my friend's trick who just who has a daughter. He has a gun and he just proceeds to clean his gun on the coffee table whenever a guy comes over. That's his signature move.
That's
So
perfect.
yeah, so just throwing that bit of advice out there.
All right, take care, man. I kind of lost it at the end there.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right.
Get back figured up.
Thanks, John.
Oh,
I made a chicken Alfredo stuffed shells for tonight.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
you made some burgers. I can't remember. It was a couple days ago or
Yeah.
Oh my God, Martina, you kill me sometimes because I'm on the, you know, I can eat burgers on the keto diet, so that I can rock out. But it's like she cooks so you
Aw.
remind me so much of my mom in the best way possible as far as like the amount that you cook because she cooks like a shit ton of food.
Yeah, I love. You know, during the lockdown or whatever. What are we calling it? Pandemic lockdown, isolation,
whatever. You know.
Fucked up
Show.
time is what we're calling it.
Yeah, we get that's
Show.
yeah.
I love that.
The
I
shit
will
show.
toast to that. Yeah.
Cooking was really, it was my therapy. Like it was my
Yeah.
my focal point. So like, you know, I can remember the first week I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a list, trying to use everything I have in the pantry because you know I don't want to go. I can't go to the grocery store really, or I shouldn't. So like, and like every week I would make this menu, and I cooked. Oh my God, 400 and some meals in a row, right? And so anyway, yeah. I've learned that the more, as you know, the more you do it, the better you get at it. It's like anything else, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cooking
finally-
is a therapy. It got me through.
it
I
is.
didn't really discover I loved food and cooking until I had a bad breakup. And then I
Mhm.
started, ordering meal boxes and kits and learning. And then I started reading and studying and got really into it. So it is a therapy.
Those meal
It
boxes
really-
are a great way to start because
Yeah,
you're
if you don't know
you're
how to cook, get one of those.
yeah, doesn't even
kits.
matter which service it is, I guess, but like I think they all offer this like great experience where how many times do you like print up a recipe, then you go to the store and you're like, oh shit, I left this behind. When you get those meal boxes, they kind of always have everything you need,
Yeah.
and the
And
instructions are
and you still
somewhat
get
clear.
to do it, right? You still get to put it together and cook it, and yeah, they're cool.
Make it
Yeah.
look like a picture. There is something about them. I'm not going to give one promotion. They need to sponsor us with this kind of talk.
That's right.
Well, no, but it's I've been gifted meal boxes and I've liked every single one. And it
Mhm.
is something where I'm like, shit, I know how to cook, but it is super nice for I can imagine myself at like 19 or 20,
Right.
somebody coming over for dinner that I want to cook for, aka a woman, and me being scared shitless of trying
Yeah.
to mess it up.
You know
And
what?
these meal boxes are just like they're idiot proof.
That's a
For the
great
most
idea.
part.
I'm gonna get that from my middle daughter. My oldest daughter is 27. She's actually a personal chef. She has several clients she cooks for every week. She's a massage therapist. She does yoga. She's like a super like my little hippie girl. And then
Wow.
my 23-year-old lives in New York and really has just started cooking. Like she's just never been sort of into it or very confident about it. But she started cooking like recently. But that's what you said kind of rang a bell. Like I should get her one of those subscription services because she would learn so much by just doing it.
You do. I mean, I
All
didn't
right,
cook
I'll
an
throw
egg
it
until
down. Marley Spoon, do it. Well, you know
Really?
what? Martina McBride. Yeah, well, that's Martha Stewart's. How about
Yeah.
you make
Oh.
a meal kit? I
Yeah,
think you could do one.
we need a Martina meal kit.
We need a
There you
Martina
go.
meal
I
kit.
need some brisket.
The
Yeah.
M&M Martina McBride meal kit.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Done.
Yeah, MMM. What'd you
Yeah.
say? MMM?
M&M.
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 Oh, yeah.
M&M.
Triple MK.
But Marley Spoon by Martha Stewart's my favorite tasting ones. So
Okay.
that's
Okay. That's
if you're looking for one. Yeah. But they all do work the same, but that one I like the most ingredient wise.
and also it would help her cook different things because she's
Mhm.
kind of nailed like salmon, like a sheet pan thing. She does salmon, sweet potatoes, broccoli, or steak, sweet potatoes, broccoli, or chicken, sweet potatoes, broccoli. You know what I mean? So it would help her kind of get into
Oh
some
yeah.
different things too.
It does.
Did you cook a lot with your mom when you were
No.
a kid or no?
I always
No.
love to cook, but my mom, like I said, she kind of cooked supper. Like we didn't really have lunch or breakfast. We kind of fitted for ourselves for breakfast with like Fruit Loops and Eggo
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
waffles and things like that.
Yeah.
But she always cooked supper. We always called it supper, but dinner. So, but she always sort of never really was inclusive with that. And she didn't, when she was in the hospital and I was talking to her, she said, I wish I had loved to cook. I cooked out of necessity. I didn't really love it.
Yeah.
So she never really understood me loving it. It
Yeah.
wasn't something she was like, I love this and I want to share it with you. It was like, I got to get this done. So it never occurred to her to like include me in that because it wasn't special to her. It wasn't like something that she loved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 It's the opposite with my mother.
Yeah.
We fight in the kitchen. They want to include me. My grandmother and my mother want to include me. And I'm like, no.
I was
I'll
booted
just
out of
be
the
over here
kitchen.
drinking my wine.
Yeah.
We
You're like,
fight. We
Yeah.
hit the butt
They would
heads.
throw me out of the kitchen.
We passed down a rolling pin, literally a rolling pin that's over 100 years old.
Oh,
And
wow.
my grandparents are from Nebraska, so I'm very familiar with
Corn.
corn. So it's 100 years old, and on my move to LA, I totally lost it.
What?
We found it. Don't panic.
Okay,
It'd be
good.
funny if it was the rolling pin from Pirates of the Caribbean that's just like chasing that guy
Yes.
around in a circle over and over again from the ride at
We found
Disneyland.
it. I used to teach middle school, and I taught cooking classes, and I left it
that's
there.
great.
I left
yeah.
it at the school when I moved to Los Angeles, and I panicked and had someone go find it, and then my mom has it from now on.
Was it your kids that got you into cooking, or what
No,
was
it
it
was
that?
something. It was something I've always loved to do. But when I've always loved to do it, and along the line, some people would keep saying, "You should write a cookbook. You should write a cookbook." I'm like, I can't write a cookbook. I'm a singer. But then I had a manager who said, you want to take a year off or so? What do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, well, what about writing a cookbook? And I'm like, okay, go get me a book deal and I'll write a cookbook. And I did.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was so lovely. It was so much fun to be creative in that way. And then I wrote a second cookbook, and I don't know I'd love to do another one, but I don't know. It's just it's a love thing for me. I think it's my love language. It's like the way I take care of people, the way I nurture people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's pretty transparent that is something that you love to do as you know, as somebody who's like spent more than 5 minutes around you, like you love food and you love cooking and you love talking about food. I know we've talked a lot about music, but just, you know, talking to you on a personal level, you love food. Like
I do love food.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, in this country, I don't know if it's worldwide or just specific to here, but we kind of like whatever somebody's successful at, that's kind of what they do. And it's like, if you wanted to be,
that's the
like,
hat you wear.
It's the hat you wear. And it's so, it's so small. Like,
Absolutely.
because we can all be more than one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're kind of taken seriously for the first thing that you are successful at. But I'm pretty successful at drinking this wine, I will say.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. It's my favorite. Where can we find your cookbooks, by the way? What's the best place to buy them?
You know, they're on my website. I've got some signed ones on my website, martinamcbride.com. And then, you know, the good old ever faithful Amazon.
You can find
anything on there.
I know.
Sometimes some people like to plug a different.
But I like this. I mean, you know what? If you're gonna go for the signed copy.
Go for the signed copy.
Like, hello.
Yeah.
You know, like go for the signed copy. You know, like
right.
I don't understand the distinction, because so many times, like if somebody had an album out and they gave you the option of the, you know, download album from Spotify or the signed version of the album, you're like, shit, why am I ever looking at this on Spotify? You know?
Yeah.
It's funny. I recently saw David Crosby on an interview, and David Crosby from Crosby, Stills and Nash. And for the folks, I know you know, but for the folks listening at home,
right.
Like a musical icon. And which I never saw the two together, but it was really cool hearing him acknowledge Taylor Swift for taking a stance on the music industry. And is there something you would do different if you were a new artist now? Because obviously, you know, you came out as an artist where people were buying albums, which helps financially an artist so much.
So grateful for that.
Yeah.
So grateful that I came up during the time, and really when country music was kind of in a heyday. I mean, I
Absolutely.
really was lucky. Like I just hit at the right time where not only was country music kind of like reaching new audiences, but women were really represented.
Yeah.
So we had, you know, me, Faith, Winona, you know, I'm just Shania. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like very rich ground for us at that moment. But I see these artists now, like these young, especially female artists, who are just out there figuring it out as they go along.
Yeah.
And I follow them and I support them any way I can. And I think to myself, shit, I had a machine. Like I had a record label. I had experienced executives that knew what they were doing, that could tell me, you need to do this, 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 and this. And I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was so spoiled, because I see these girls now who are just literally like out there figuring it out. Like nobody is helping them, right? And they're doing great, but it has to be so difficult. And so I'm just like, what can I do to help? What can I do to help you? Because, you know, I was lucky that I forgot your question. That's
I'll say, what is there anything you would do? No, it's fine.
No,
But no,
I
like,
love it.
if there was something you would do different if you were starting your career now, like how would you approach it differently? Would you go the YouTube route, trying to build
I wouldn't, because I had it good. Let's just be honest. I had the ideal situation, like I just described to you. I had everything that I needed to. I had all of the ingredients for the soup, and all I had to do was work my ass off, right? Which is like, so I wouldn't change anything. I was really lucky, really blessed.
Well, You know, Martina, I want to thank you so much for your time. We end every show the same way. The only thing that we can't get
Drunk.
back
No,
and
I'm just joking.
I know. I'm like, woo.
Sorry.
the only thing we can't get back in life is time. And I want to acknowledge you so much for spending a little bit of time with Megan and I and the listeners here on Kill the Bottle podcast. Check Martina out, martinamcbride.com. Follow her on social media at Martina McBride. I think at some point I'm going to message you. I'm going to teach you some Cuban cooking, girl. We're going to do like,
yes.
I think I'm going to send you a list of ingredients. We'll do I don't know what we're going to do. We'll do something fun.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I think it'll
Yeah.
be fun. I
Yeah.
want to see John eating like some black beans and rice
Yes.
and some shredded Cuban garlicky oniony beef. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, maybe I'm a
Did you say beef, not pork? Holy.
Oh, she always makes
holy
fun of me
crap.
because all we Cubans eat are pork, and it's only because pork is so much cheaper than beef. That's that's what I grew up with. I am so sorry.
Whatever.
Martina, I want to acknowledge you. Thank you so much for being here. It really means the world to me. I consider you and John friends, and I'm laughing about it because it's never in the wildest scheme of my life would I think that I would find myself in Nashville making new friends as a kid from South Florida, Miami, of Cuban refugees. It's just the most random thing, and I'm very blessed where I make fun of social media. I also want to acknowledge social media because if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have lovely people in my life like you and Megan. So I want to acknowledge you. Thanks so much for being on Kill the Bottle podcast. Folks, please like, subscribe, Martina, what
all of it.
But what do they need? Like, what is good for musicians now? Do they need to go to Spotify and like everything? Do they need to go to Apple Music and just save everything? I'm being serious. Like, I don't even know what to tell them to do.
Yeah, it's
Because you
so
have the
hard
voice of an
now.
angel. And for the folks who haven't, no, sincerely, as somebody who grew up around musicians and studied music my entire life, I was very moved the first time I heard your voice. So and it's been within the last year because I did not know.
Sure.
So I love discovering, new things to me. What do folks need to do now to help artists in the best way, in the best way possible?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of it helps,
Yeah.
recommending stuff. And I mean, I always want to help the songwriters who really get the short end of the stick when it comes to streaming. They do get paid for radio airplay where us artists don't. So streaming is so out of balance. They have to get so many streams to make like 5 cents. So,
Oh my gosh.
we all do really, but so streaming is great because it does give you the world at your fingertips. It allows you to really discover new music. And then I guess the best thing to do is just tell your friends, like, buy music when you can, go to record stores, buy vinyl, buy CDs,
Yeah.
even though they're obsolete. I know.
Well, I was going to go see you live recently until I found out you were 5 hours away. A 5-hour drive.
I mean, there are limits, right, Eddie?
Well, well, it was funny because it was like, it wasn't even anywhere close. Like it was, first of all, it was last minute. I didn't know you were in the area, but, guys, she's also on tour through June. So check out martinamcbride.com and go and see her live and support live music because there is nothing that is probably, besides my family, besides me picking up the guitar and playing, and thanks to your husband and you, I now have a guitar named Martina. That I've sent you pictures of it. The thing that I've learned to appreciate the most, during this has been live music and forgetting how much I love it. So I encourage you to, if you have the opportunity to see Martina live, she loves her fans. And I know I'm speaking on behalf of her, but it is transparent whenever you see people share any video of you performing live, how much you love your fans. So I encourage folks to do that.
It's also an experience where we create a memory, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about memories and how important that, I don't know if we talked about, did we talk about memories? I don't know if we did.
Well, I talked about losing my memory with wine.
It's so important. Like as you get older, I realize like really all of those memories that's so important. So when you're in a room with fans and we're all sharing this energy and this positivity and this love and for the same thing, it's like nobody else can experience that except those that are there, right? So you can watch it on
Mhm.
YouTube, but it's not the same. It's
never the
being
same.
there. So yeah,
Yeah.
live music. Go support live music.
Go
That's what I
support
say.
live
it.
music. Thanks guys for supporting Kill the Bottle podcast. Martina, we love you.
Thank you so
Enjoy
much.
your pot roast.
Your family night and your
Yeah.
wine.
I
Yay.
will. You guys,
And your
thanks so much for
tequila.
having me. Yeah.
Thank you. We're honored.
Thanks.
All right, I stopped recording.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much.
Martina.
I know
Martina.
sometimes it gets we talk about those songs and stuff, it gets heavy, and I wanted to keep it light, but hopefully
Oh,
you got what
I
you
mean,
need.
you know what? It's not even about that. I just love talking to people, and this is like it's almost like the food podcast is an excuse to just talk to people
Yeah.
because everybody's got to eat, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And it's just one of, and I forgot to ask you about Joe's Pizza and working at Dairy Queen. Like I had so
Yeah,
many
yeah.
things that.
Well, we'll do a take 2 if you guys want
I,
to.
you know,
Yeah,
when
that'd be
your
fun
your
someday.
next book comes out,
Yeah.
Aw.
but no shit, we got to do, even if like it doesn't have to be for everybody, but we should do a Cuban cooking
I
thing.
love that. No, I
That would be so
seriously
much
love
fun.
that. I would
No, I
learn
know.
so much. Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be so much fun.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Let's
think
figure it
about
out. We're in touch.
what I want you to eat.
Yes.
And I want to get John on rum now. I know he's into his tequila,
Okay. Yeah.
but I want to get some rum cocktails in his life. So
Yeah.
all right,
Go for it.
go
You know
have
me,
dinner.
I love everything. I'm not
Oh,
picky when it comes to alcohol. I'm like, whatever you send me, I'll drink it.
No,
I'm
I
fine.
couldn't believe this is the fucking phenomenal shit they sent us. So-
I know, right? It's amazing. I'm gonna
I
take
was
this
like-
next door and because I'm in this little apartment above my garage, so I'm gonna go take this next door and my daughter,
Well-
my 27-year-old is here, so she'll help me drink. This.
Oh shit. Well, enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Thank you
Thanks
guys.
again,
so much.
Martina.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.